I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person, that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. It's your boy Hans Luder here with my best friends on your favorite #1 basketball podcast
Let them know.
in the world. That's right, the world, not just the US, the world. Here with Ev Butler Sands. How you doing, Ev? How you feeling today?
You say #1 in the world. In Elon Musk's America, we're the #1 in space too. I'm doing fine.
Love it. Yes. The universe. What it do, Lou? What it do? How you feeling, man?
Oh, as always, feeling good, feeling great. Always happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Is that a mustard colored hoodie you got on right there? I had to get out my system.
Hey, it's cool, man. We got to give a big up to LA still, man.
Hey,
Mamba
listen,
mentality.
man. Shout out to the Pop Mamba too, as always. I know he out here repping up the West Side all day right now. Yes, sir, guys. All right, we have a great show started. As you see, man, we're ready to go. We're hyped up. We have the energy. We're bringing it. You know what I'm saying? We're ready to squabble up. If you don't get it, it's going to be all podcasts, baby. It's going to be all podcasts. All right, y'all. Speaking of a team that needs to squabble up, listen, y'all. What's going on with the Bad News Bears, Philadelphia 76ers, man? I do not understand it. I don't understand this great, I don't even know if you would call it an implosion. I guess you would, right? Because it feels like it's coming from the inside. But this team just can't seem to really get it together, guys. It's not only the injuries, but the personal dramas, the snitching, it's everything. It is absolutely everything. And there's so much for us to dig into. So we really don't have to spare any takes really on these 76ers. So I'll start with you, Ev, as a fan of the big man, Joel Embiid. Maybe you could give us the Embiid angle on why things are going south. But what is your summation of what's going on, man, with these 76ers, man?
Well, first off, before we get too far down the road, let me just say an early happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to all of our listeners. I hope you're listening to this. You're settling in to enjoy a great extended weekend with your families and your loved ones. And it's especially important and relevant at this time because the 76ers are not operating like a family right now. And that is part of the problem that we have here. The season has gotten off to a terrible start, as we've referenced on more than one episode this year. It's not getting better. Embiid has been a big part of the story. His injuries and the stories behind it and his body language when he's come back. But then you have this players only meeting that they have a week ago, and they have it, and almost immediately all of the information about it comes out. The complaints about, right? The super leak about Embiid's tardiness, the word for words what Tyrese Maxey was saying about it. And you know who I blame? I blame Reggie Jackson. Everybody wants to know who the leak was. Reggie Jackson. All right.
Really?
If you're listening to this, I want you to go and look at his profile picture that he took on NBA Media Day, and you go look at his eyes. Pause the show. Go look at his eyes.
Hey, yo, chill, man. I know exactly what you're doing.
Reggie Jackson cannot be trusted. If he showed up at Media Day like that, he showed up to that players only meeting like that. He doesn't even know he snitched, okay? He doesn't even know. He's listening to this podcast
He
today. Like, I did what?
That's
Oh,
that Rocky
man.
Mountain residue, man. You know where he's
That's
coming from,
that's
man.
exactly. That's exactly. Going from LA to Denver, he took his bags with him to Philly, and he doesn't know what he's doing right now. But all jokes aside, the problem with this team is that they don't have a leader. And
Ooh.
as much as I hate to say it,
Oh.
that's an
Saying it with your
indictment
chest,
on the
F.
big man. That's an indictment on the big man.
You're not wrong one bit. And we saw how he played in the playoffs, and that was exactly a direct line of view.
So are you saying, F, that they need to whack out Embiid's murals in Philly? Is that what you're saying?
That's not
Is it,
what I'm saying.
that's not what you're saying? Oh, okay.
Don't get me in
I'm
trouble.
sure the fans are already doing that.
Don't get me in trouble.
Philadelphia, we talk about.
And Embiid is still the poster child. He's still the headline, and they still need him healthy. But if you listen to the things that he's saying and the actions that he's shown, he's been crying for a true leader for this team for a while. We've had this conversation about KD before. There's a difference in being the best player and being the leader. And Embiid's not a leader. It's why when he has that interview about Jimmy Butler 2 weeks ago, he goes on about Jimmy Butler, top 10 player, top 5 player, and I think top player in the entire league right now. You know why he loves Jimmy Butler so much? Because Jimmy Butler was a true alpha and leader when he was there on the team. It's the reason why he gushes so much about Tyrese Maxey right now, because he sees this young attendant talent and he just hopes that he can take on the reins of being the leader of this team so he can just play. They haven't equipped him with that, and it's an indictment on him as well. But it's a recognition of the personality that he is and what he continues to exhibit, and it's clear to see that that's what the team is missing. They brought in Paul George, but Paul George is not a leader, and so there's a team right now that's free falling because they don't have a leader.
Ooh, that's some hard pills to swallow.
What you mean this having McMaxie isn't enough? I saw a casual coinage of the term of McCain and Maxie as McMaxie.
And you know what though? That is the only. Thank you for bringing that up. That's the only bright spot, is that McCain is taking advantage of the opportunity of these players not being here, Paul George and Maxey being out, and he's the bright spot. He's looking like a solid fit, a solid, player that they can. Right. If they have to rebuild, he's a good piece to add. I mean, you would love for him to add to the apparent potential. And we know what F thinks about that word potential of this team. But I feel like that's the only bright spot. But I don't want to cut you off, Lou. What's your take on Philly, and what are you seeing, bro?
Oh man, like Evan said, that's the leadership part is the biggest part of it, right? Not having somebody who is your general, both on and off the floor, and not just an indictment on Embiid himself, but also front office. You guys, I mean, coaching staff, front office, you have to make a business decision. Who's going to be the leader here, right? And then you actually empower Maxey to be that guy. Maxey was one stepping up when you guys were trying to figure out what's going on with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and someone bringing this person in and bringing this person out, and chiefly the Jimmy Butler situation. Maxey's been there, sitting there grinding. Give him a shot. Let him do that. You see that he's actually stepping up to the plate in terms of how he's talking to Embiid. He's like, look, we love you, but we need you to be on point. This is reminiscent a la Shaq and Kobe, when one's calling out the other. Two great talents, but unfortunately, Embiid doesn't have the same accolades that Shaq did, to be able to kind of lean on that. So, yeah, it's going bad. I mean, it's going bad faster than expected. Hans, I wanted to tell you, your pick, the Sixers might be the crash out team that you thought the Pelicans were.
Man, it's funny you say that, because I was looking, and the Pelicans are still crashing out, by the way. But I was looking at that. The Sixers currently have the second worst record in the league. They're 3-13 as we record. This is atrocious. Even the Bucks got it together. They're figuring it out. They're 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this is wild. This is wild. I honestly did not envision it going this bad. And similar to what Ev was saying, there is definitely a leadership thing happening. There's no clear example on the court identity of what to do. Also, I'm gonna throw it out there. This is an indictment on Doc as well too. This team right now, all the smoke and mirrors of him being the ultimate players coach and all of that, I think it's revealing Doc for what he is. As much as I've been a fan of him and toting him, at the end of the day, you're gonna need more than your rah-rah speeches to to get this team going. And if anything, right, this should be where you're showing your strength as a player's coach, right? You clearly have it.
Hold on. We gonna snipe. We gonna snipe Doc. On his way out the door already. You sending him a shot. You sending him straight in Milwaukee.
Catching strays, baby.
That's messed up, man. That's messed up. I want to blame Doc too because
You're right. That's
he
my bad.
empowered.
He's in
No.
We're talking about
I feel
Philly.
no. I ain't mean it like that. I feel where you're going. He empowered this culture over the 4 years. They kicked him out the door, but his residue still resides. I'm with you on that.
No.
I'm just laughing because I'm quick to blame Doc. I've got my Doc thoughts.
But think,
when you
okay,
said Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee is an easy part of their schedule right now. But keep cooking.
No, but I would keep cooking because here's my thing, right? At the end of the day, we're giving these people control. You want the keys to the team. You got the keys to the team. Where's the fruit? There's no fruit. And I mean, you have an out. We could blame the Paul George hyperextension 2 times of his knees. 2 times. 2 times of hyperextending his knees. You could blame Tyrese Maxey. He had the injury as well. But there's certain things that we're seeing on the court that's just signs of it not going well and that it's dysfunction. Ev, you look like you were saying something. I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I agree with what you're saying, and the Paul George piece is a piece as well. But what I will say, it is still early. I won't fully indict them as in throw away this season. They're 3 games out of the play-in right now. This team still has time to get it together and at least make the play-in and try to get into the playoffs. A benefit of this new format for a struggling team like this. What we're seeing what we're saying is even despite Embiid's injuries, right? Paul George, the ascendance of Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, this team should be better than 3-13 with a veteran bench, right? It should be better than 3-13. So there's something beyond just play. There's just something beyond just X's and O's on the court that's causing this team to struggle in the way that it is. And that's why I call Embiid to the table, is because you can't bring that body language into the situation and when this team is already struggling. That story got out on purpose as a message to him, as in, hey, you can't carry yourself in this way beyond just the injuries if we're going to be what we're trying to be. So that's my take on that. It was definitely intentional to send a message.
Here's also where I think the fatigue is as well too. In therapy, they say you've reached an impasse when you have a couple where they really get to this point where they're arguing and they're just getting in a cycle over and over again, right? And they're struggling to find a solution. And really what you have to do is you have to take a break, figure it out, because you're going to get caught in your cycle again. Just a little brief therapy here. Here's what I think is happening with Philadelphia. Embiid feels like he's sick and tired of carrying this team. And the team is saying, we're sick and tired of you being inconsistent. Are you really carrying us? And it's like they're going back and forth over and over again. He's like, but I've taken you there. See, and they're like, where? To the second round out?
Yeah. See,
like that's
That's poor leadership right there. But we seen it. Look, I was finished with Embiid when he gave up in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Against
So
the Celtics.
absolutely, that showed me exactly where your heart is, and you can't have the guy who's supposed to lead your team to glory to have that. Even when Giannis, when they got booted early, he's like, "Yo, man, losing happens. This is," and I'm going to guarantee you that it doesn't happen like that again. But he was still a competitor. So
You know what though? You're right. I was about to make a reference, but that reference wasn't going to work because one would argue he never led a team to the promised land. I was thinking about Scottie Pippen. Remember when he got mad that Kukoc was
yep,
subbed in
yep,
and
Got called,
people
got
were definitely calling
yep.
him out on that.
yeah.
And one would say that he's showing you why he was never at number one lead on that Bulls team. It was Michael, and how he, after Michael, never led a team to the promised land.
Well, even Lou's Shaq analogy was spot on there. From for all the tremendous talent, right? You had a counterpart, someone of close to equal level, able to say, "Listen, you're not doing enough. You're not carrying yourself in the right way. The way a leader is supposed to carry the team, right?" And you saw the Lakers when they had to make a choice, right? They chose the work ethic. They chose the more reliable path when they chose Kobe. Yes, Kobe was younger as well, but they saw the 12 hours a day in the gym, right? They saw the 100% dedication to basketball. So Embiid,
Don't can't just be
messaging.
like, can't lean on, oh, I'm the most dominant. And also, it's just, look, Embiid can't be crying for MVP when night in, night out, even though Joker would rather be, betting on his horses or shoveling barrels of hay, he gets it done on that court. You know what I mean? So uh, here we go. Here we go.
I don't know if you guys saw, but I have breaking footage of Joel
Here we go.
Embiid trying to he's how he's saying he's trying to figure out what the problem is, who's a snitch is. I have brand new footage of Joel Embiid looking for that.
We're here for it.
Probably from his.
Never
Bad.
Never
Y'all,
mind.
if you're
Well
listening
played.
to this audio, you definitely have to watch it on YouTube, y'all. Check in on YouTube for these shenanigans, man. Check in on YouTube. That's wild. All right,
This is why
fellas.
we're number one. We bring you dope
Yes,
conversation and
this is
dope
it. That's
visuals
why we're
too.
number one in the world, baby. In the universe. I'm sorry, F, the universe. That's why we're number one in the universe. My bad. All right, y'all. Let's move on. Man. Let's get off of these 76ers depressing us. The Golden State Warriors. Have they been reincarnated? See what I did there? I'm going down all 12, baby.
Look at you. Look at you.
Have
my
they been
God.
reincarnated? Is this a resurgence? Is this the 2022 Golden State Warriors and Buddy Hield is Klay Thompson? What is going on, man? As Ev so eloquently put it in the group chat, do we need to recalibrate our thoughts and views on these Golden State Warriors right now? So I'll start. I'll start with you, Lou. So the Golden State Warriors right now are currently 12-4 in the West.
One.
They're number one on top of your team that you like, the
Yeah.
Oklahoma City Thunder, and
Yeah.
they are really out here battling. Now, when we mentioned them before, I know we've said that the soft schedule could play a role into it. Now, arguably, they're about 5 or 6 more games deep. Are you believing what you're seeing, Lou? Is this a reincarnation
Man,
of the Golden State Warriors? Are you liking what you're seeing, man? Draymond Green's invigorated, man. Talk to me, man. What are you seeing, man? You like what you see?
I'm loving this, man. I think it's great, especially in the constant conversation of LeBron and him doing it at his age, and it's like, wow, LeBron, oh, I can't believe, he's doing that now. Same thing here, man. Seeing the Warriors, you were looking like, they've rewound the tape a little bit, man, and running it back. And it's dope to see. Not only are they playing well, but you're seeing they're getting a lot of wins on the road, which is also a testament, because at the end of the day, this is the NBA, right? You're playing against other professionals. So for the bulk of what's brought your record here, for you to be 70% on the road, that that's pretty dope, man. I'm loving it. And I'm a big fan of the chef. So Buddy Hield coming in and playing the exact role that he needed to play, just like we saw in times past when Iguodala needed to be the player he was, when Harrison Barnes needed to be the player that he was, when Andrew Wiggins was the player that he needed to be. And now that you need somebody to step into that Clay spot, right? You don't have a Jordan Poole who potentially could have been that had things transpired better. You have a guy like Buddy Hield who has been in the league a little bit, also has been a solid shooter in the league, and you know how to play the role. And look, and you don't have to worry about, yes, obviously, Steph is going to get his shots, but you don't have to worry about the 20, 25 shots at minimum that Clay was going to get himself. So I love what they're doing in terms of kind of, shaking up the team, and it looks like they have some new life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Ev, appreciate you saving me on our last segment. Thinking Doc Rivers was out here messing up Philly. I was clearly had the Bucks on the mind. But listen, hey, now we're on the Golden State Warriors, right? Do we need to give Kerr credit for this resurgence? He's playing a longer than usual rotation, right? He's incorporating a lot more of his Golden State players, showing his developmental skills as an organization. Who do you give credit to this resurgence?
So I'm going to break it down into 3 levels. First, I give credit to the front office. Had to be a very difficult decision to move on from Klay Thompson, but one that was needed, and one that I think unlocked the entrenched and stale identity of this team. And here's what I mean by that. They went through the last 2 years with Klay and seeing not only his struggles on the court, but his struggles off the court. We're trying to recreate his identity, and also having contract struggles, understanding what he had meant to the team. For them to let him go the way they did couldn't have been an easy decision. But what you see on the court now is a team that's broken away from an identity that they knew would not get them as far as they wanted to go. It's something when you're on the court, when you know you're the third or fourth option and the second option isn't reliable. No shade to Klay, but isn't reliable as his stature allows him to be, versus now you're on the court and you have a chance to be a second option, a third option. You have a chance to move up and showcase yourself on any given night, because that established hierarchy isn't there anymore. Draymond doesn't want to shoot. Steph is shooting his lowest number of attempts since his first 5 years in the league. Nobody's playing more than 30 minutes on the team. So this is where it goes to Steve Kerr, where I give him credit for unlocking the ability for everybody to get involved in the flow of the offense, right? So you have games where Buddy Hield has a week where he goes off. You have games where Jonathan Kuminga has quarters where he looks right. You have some games where Pazinski shows up some, right? Although he's been struggling a little bit this year. But you have stretches where Trace Jackson Davis, Lindy Waters, Moses Moody all get a chance to showcase themselves, because you have an unselfish leader at the top in Steph Curry, and this type of offense that gives everybody else a chance to touch the ball. And what that does, gets more people involved. Where does that pay dividends at? On the defensive side. So now you have a team that's top 3 in defensive rating, because everybody's bought into the unselfish nature. Everybody's more involved, and as a whole, you're getting maximum quality out of everybody to the point. So I think the Warriors, to this point, you definitely got to give it to Kerr and then the players on the court.
Look at you showing a stark difference in leadership styles, or leaders at all, between Steph
Good leadership,
and
bad
Embiid.
leadership.
The leadership or the absence of such.
Facts. It definitely shows on the court. We can definitely see the difference. All right, y'all. So that's our signal. Let's move on to the next segment, y'all. If you haven't realized it, maybe you had your TV off. See what I did there? Well, turn them back on, y'all, because the youth is here. These young players are balling out of control. Okay? So you old heads,
Might say they whacked out.
hey, I see what you did there, boy. Hey, get in there, man.
Wow.
It's okay.
He's
It's
a
all right.
hater. He's a hater.
There's a certain delivery to it. We'll get there. We'll get there, man. We'll get there. So listen. These young basketball players are balling, and I want to start off first with these guys out here in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Hornets, who last mentioned there was a lot of disappointment in somebody's tone. I'm not going to point him out or say who he is by name on this podcast, but they're very disappointed in the Charlotte Hornets and their record and how they're playing. But are we disappointed in LaMelo and Brandon Miller? Brandon Miller is balling as well too, but LaMelo is really standing out. He just dropped 50. He also was playing his heart out against the Orlando Magic with their jerseys. I think they were wearing Dodger blue. See what I did there? And he's really out here making things happen. Ev, as somebody who's kind of critical on the play of the Charlotte Hornets, how much is LaMelo balling out along with Brandon? How much is a difference is that making for them? What are you seeing? Do you think there's potential right there? Can you build around that?
I think absolutely you can build around it. I like what I'm seeing. I'll go. I mean, LaMelo's definitely the story. I'll touch on Brandon Miller first, though, just to see that I like where him asserting himself more in his second season, up to 20 points a game, or shade under 20, giving you solid defense as well, in addition to his versatility on the court. So I think matched up with a LaMelo, he's an excellent sidekick. He's a keeper of a piece for them going forward. But LaMelo Ball has been outstanding to start this season. When he's healthy, he's given you stretches each season that leaves you wanting more from him as a player. He started off the season not quite at this level, but similar last year. But then he got hurt again, and then we didn't see him much anymore. What he's on the first 16 games of this season, like you said, 37-5. It's phenomenal. His 3-point shot looks amazing. He gets to the basket at will, and he moves the ball. He's not a selfish ball stopper on the team. So this team is one that I've probably circled them the last 3 years, looking like, hey, if these pieces can just gel together, this team can make some noise or be on the ascent. And they just never seem to get there. But to at least have LaMelo playing at this level, you hope he maintains a consistency throughout the season and stays healthy. And Brandon Miller continuing to climb. I'm a little more excited with what the Charlotte Hornets can be. And they seem to enjoy playing for both each other and their new head coach, who, like you said, holds his players accountable, even his star player. I'll wear your gear to the press conference, but I'll also reprimand you privately and publicly when you act up. So I think that could be a trending up moment for the Hornets.
I hope so, man. At the end of the day, what I will say is this. One thing I'll say about Ev is he's always critical about which players were actually putting work in the offseason and which weren't. And the proof is in the pudding. And I think right now you're seeing the fruits of the labor that LaMelo has put in. He's always kind of given off that kind of immature vibe. Like, I'm just here to ball. Like, I may not have any work ethic. And then, the scrutiny that comes with his last name, right? Being associated with ball and everything like that. But what I will say is, at first, I didn't believe it. I thought it was like, okay, man, they're just playing teams who don't have defense. He's just, because his shot is awkward. It's not pretty, but it goes in. But he's you got to respect him out there now for a little bit. So I will say this: we're seeing the fruits of his labor. Shout out to them. Brandon Miller is young and emerging. He's exciting to watch. People are giving the PG comparison, and I can see that. So I just hope that they continue to get it together. They're missing a couple pieces to kind of form an identity, and I think that's what it is. I think they're just a team that's balling right now, but they don't really have an identity quite yet. But it's coming, and I like what I'm seeing out there. Moving on to another younger team, Lou, the Houston Rockets, man. They're balling. I know we were critical of them, but these young cats are balling right now as we record. They are third, you guys. Third in
Yep.
the West.
Yep.
Nobody saw this coming. Oh, well, let me say this. You guys may have the prophetic vision where I may have a blind side or anything like that. I haven't recovered from the Rockets since Tracy McGrady. But listen, they're here. The Rockets are saying, peekaboo, we're here, okay? We out here in the West. Lou, what are you saying with these Rockets, man? Is this for real? Or is this fool's gold?
I think what's happening now is a young team who, especially being healthy, having cornerstone pieces like Sengun, who's starting out the season almost as hot as he did last season, definitely up in points, almost at the same in rebounds, so almost a walking double-double right now. Uh, you see Green. Green has definitely been cooking. Van Vliet has still been their leader. What something similar to what you see is happening over at Golden State. Their numbers in terms of scoring are down because you're seeing they're really starting to gel as a team and sharing the ball better. But I think a big piece of it that we're not talking about is who was a orchestrator of a team that won the championship last year and was able to bring his team, to where they are right now, and that's Ime, right? So you got to give a big up to their coach in being able to come in and galvanize his team and really maximize the pieces that he has. This is a great young team that we're going to continue to watch. Even look, somebody who's not a fan of Jabari, seeing him to be able to come and start to step up this season. I mean, I've seen some flashes of it before, but so I'm going to keep a close eye on it. But even it's looking like he may found a way to bring his game and maximize it. So they're really coming together now. Third, we'll see how long they last as a third team. But I'm going to. I'm clearly excited to see it, especially when I get back down to H-Town.
I'll throw one thing on the Houston piece. A lot of players, right? And so we talked about it, I think, on our first shows of the year. They had about 9 or 10 players, but what was their identity going to be with all these young guys? I like to see 2 players in particular that have stepped up, Amen Thompson and Tari Eason, establishing their identity. They come into the game, and the defensive intensity goes from a 9 to like a 15.
I was
right?
about to say,
It's that intentional.
Thompson is Lamar. I really like him. I really like him.
So they both come in and they both wreak havoc. And what that has done is it's now carved out a rotation, right? They got 7 players averaging over 20 minutes a game, and then the rest has now dwindled down because now you have your identity. Okay, this is who has earned their spot. And so now this is when you see a team ascend when they have an idea of they know who they are. Right. It's not just trying to figure out what we do with all these players. And so that's what I think you're seeing in this first quarter success from Houston is Ime establishing, okay, these are the players that are consistently doing what I'm requiring of the team to do.
Facts. Houston is Houston's an interesting team. I think similar to what Lou was saying before, I think they're really powered by a coach who really has what it takes to motivate them and get them where they need to be. I just don't know in this strong Western Conference where they'll shake up and be at the end of the day. That's really what worries me. I'm interested to see, let's say, for instance, which has been floating around social media for a bit, if the NBA got rid of the conferences, right, and just did straight up, I'd be interested to see where they fall then, or where they shake up. But I think what's unfortunate for them is that they're really playing in a Western Conference that's really kind of strong right now, and they might need a little more. But nevertheless, man, third right now,
See,
you can't knock it.
teams like that are bubbling up, especially very early on in the season, they really benefit from the in-season tournament because it gives them a realistic goal to kind of work towards early on, especially if they're able to kind of gel quick, as the season goes on. It's grueling, and then experience is also key, right? Even if they were to be a playing team and you end up with one of these more veteran teams that you have to play against, to get past them and then get into another 7-game series, we know that experience usually will be the one to outweigh just really the pure talent that we're seeing in the younger teams. But like you guys said, man, this is going to be a fun team to watch if they continue in this trajectory over the next couple seasons.
100%. And let's touch on Detroit. So Detroit is really improving compared to last year, where they're really at the bottom of the league, similar to where the 76ers are right now. They are showing promise. They're 8th in the East right now. They're still kind of up and down, just coming off just coming off a 3-game
You
losing
right there,
streak.
Pod Mama?
But even in those games that they lost, it was by a small margin, whereas they were getting blown out the water last year. I know Ev is saying that he's watching Cade Cunningham and coming into form. What are you seeing in Detroit that looks promising to you, sir?
Two things I'll point out. First is the difference in coaching. I think Monty Williams was stealing money for a couple years. Chris Paul made that man very,
Okay, I
very
was about to say,
wealthy.
even with Phoenix?
Chris Paul made that man very, very wealthy.
Wow.
No offense, no disrespect meant to Monty Williams. I wish him well in life. He's been through a lot. But just to see the difference in coaching, JB Bickerstaff, not an all-world coach, but willing to do simple things like, hey, play your first-round pick from 3 years ago more than 15, 20 minutes a game. Put Jalen back in the starting lineup. Let's see what he can do, right? Giving you 18, 5, and 4. Hit a game-winning jumper tonight. Just seeing what you have out of him. But it does come down to Cade. The knock for me on Cade coming in out of college was I didn't see the athleticism for him to get to his spots like he did in college. So he was going to have to both bulk up and take more time to get down the speed of the NBA game. We heard trickles of it last season before the season started with his summertime runs with USA Basketball, them giving them the Luka comparisons. It didn't fully matriculate itself last season, but you can see that he's continued to put in the work, and now he's a more fully evolved form of himself, giving you 24, 8, and 9. More efficient with the ball in his hand, both in his shooting percentages and his turnovers down. You're seeing him being able to manage this team, be the floor general, while also being its lead offensive priority. And that's a tough balance for a young point guard, especially one that's not a traditional point guard. So it's just taking him some time to find his stride. But Detroit's putting him in positions to be successful. He's more aggressive and more confident and more successful in his offensive arsenal. And I think that is one of the primary reasons that we're seeing this early season pseudo success from Detroit. They don't look like a dumpster fire as they had previous years.
So I'm going to make fun of you here. Are you still hurt from what Tobias did in Philly that you don't want to give him any credit to what he's doing in Detroit? I'm just throwing that out
Hey,
there.
yo, chill. Yeah.
I listen. I had to put my detective hat on, like Luther. You know, like Luther from the great BBC series. You know, like Luther. I had to put my detective hat on, and you ain't want to give Tobias no credit. No.
I mean, he's giving you what, 13? Okay, I give him 14 and 7, and he's the same old Tobias. He has a game. He has a game about every 10 days where you look up and see there's a
Hans,
running
I
joke.
think you got your answer. Hans.
But the
Clearly.
problem is he's the same. The problem is he left his identity at his old location because Paul George over there playing like Tobias Harris right now.
That's what's happening.
That's the problem. That's the problem. That he left Philly in body, but not in spirit.
Man.
Until that figured out. Tobias the same guy. He had a game last week that
Tobias just left his ghost in the locker room, huh?
He absolutely did.
PG should have never picked that locker, huh?
But not to go back on PG. This is supposed to be Detroit segment, but I will say this. When Paul George released his first picture in his number 8 Philly jersey, the first thought I had was, he looks a little out of shape. And I'm not saying that, that had anything to do with his hyperextended knee, 2 completely fluke injuries, but I haven't seen anything from the moment he put pen to paper with the Sixers that has impressed me so far. But yeah, Tobias Harris, happy to have him. If he's your 4th option, you're doing good. And that's, like I said, they're moving Jaden Ivey into the starting lineup, Cade ascending. That allows Tobias to be your 4th option and not get in trouble. I do have a question. I'm sorry. I got a question that's off topic from what we were just talking about. You were talking about the in-season tournament, and you were talking about young teams and them having potential to gun for that. We had the Lakers win last year. We had the Golden State Warriors, the first team to clinch their quarterfinal spot this year.
I just want to know that this is not the sentiments of all members of the 3-on-3 podcast.
Oh, man. He had to hit you with the radio disclaimer. The opinions expressed.
Right? Could it be, though, that the in-season tournament becomes the goal for aging teams that know they don't have the endurance to carry through for the rest of the season?
Wow.
And so gun for some early success. What's the Denzel meme? I'm leaving here with something. So
I'm gonna leave here with something.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave here with something. So these old teams that they know they don't have the juice in the tank to compete for a championship. Let me get an early banner to raise in our arena. Just a thought.
Hey man, get that Gary if you can, yeah. Go get that Gary.
What'd you say, Pop Mamba? All banners count towards the total, right?
Oh my goodness!
Can't wait for Boston to win another one.
Oh my goodness! That's wild,
tied, man. They're still tied.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, y'all bringing them on. Come on, Pop Mama.
Don't worry, the Lakers will get another in-season tournament banner, and will be tied with the Celtics once again.
I love it.
Actually, I think we'll get one more, right? I think we're tied right now. I think we all
tied now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There we go.
So, it's like, when you had that you see somebody rocking some sneakers and you like someone just a little bit off about them, like they just might be, off a website that's not necessarily legit, but it's like, but it look legit. That's what it's like winning a Gary. Okay.
Look, they're both made from China. So, I mean, they're real to me.
This is what
same material.
Same material.
They're both counted the same.
They look
they're both
Jordans. They don't have the Jumpman logo.
Yeah, when you buy at Foot Locker, the other you buy on Canal Street.
Look, I could get a Sharpie, draw a Jumpman logo on there. I mean, it's all the same, really.
Not Canal Street.
All right, he said Canal Street. Chris don't know where that's at. It's an East Coast reference. He don't know about that.
Word. Right? My man at the garden know the vibes.
Yes. I see what you did there, Lou. I see what you did there.
I'm going to get one, okay? I'm going to get one.
All right, y'all. Before we move on to the last topic, I got to talk about a team near and dear to my heart. Part 6 is my Portland Trailblazers. Yes, we're going to talk about it.
The pettiness.
We're going to talk about them as a, team that's young gunners doing their things. Shout out to them. Here's what I say. Whoa, this guy. Listen, you will not overpower me, okay? I'm going to say my piece. Shout out to Shaden. Shout out to Anthony. Doing their thing out here, okay? Shout out to them. And even Scoot coming off, giving some energy and giving us some double-digit back-to-back performances and points as well, too. Shout out to them. Shout out to them competing in every single game. Here's what I love. I love when teams play with pride. Yes, we're not the best team in the league. We're not. I'm under no illusions. I'm perfectly sane. But what I will say is this. We lost to the Pelicans, right? It was that last second Zion block, right? When he snatched it. We played him again, came back and won with force. We lost to the Houston Rockets during the end season. We came back the next day, played them with force and won. Okay. All I'm saying is I'm happy my team has some grit. They're playing with some pride. And that's more people can say about these Philadelphia 76ers, these teams that are supposed to be winning. We're doing better than them. We're playing like we want to be out there. Shout out to my Portland Trailblazers. Give it up, baby. Let's go. All right. You know what I'm saying? They were near and dear to my heart, part 6, man. Near and dear to my heart, part 6, man. So we had to get them out there. All right. Y'all, I don't know, and I need you guys. You guys are my closest friends here, and I need you guys to hold my hand during this time because you know what this next segment means to me. You know where my love and joy is. You know where my comfort has been for basketball. You know where that sweet smile has been for me, that warmth. Lou and I have a RIP to her, a great, great older matriarch who, when we used to walk in the Sabbath school, would greet us with a big hug and a smile. Miss Gloria. Shout out to Gloria.
Gloria.
Our comfort. Shout out to Gloria.
Yeah, she had the illest chicken noodle soup, man.
Hey, man. Gloria gets you right. And that's what the All-Star game was for me. No matter what my Portland Trailblazers were doing, whether they were being cheated out of Western Conference Finals by the Lakers of Shaq and Kobe, whether they were being ran through by the Golden State Warriors of Stephen Curry in their heydays.
Sheesh.
Or when it was way back when, we were just struggling with Brandon Roy after he left with the injury. We were just trying to make it. But anyway, I always had the All-Star game to give me comfort, make me feel good. Like, not all is bad in the basketball world. But as of late, it's been dark for me, y'all. It's been dark times. The All-Star game has gone to trash. But look, it's looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel. The NBA has announced a new format. And I wish I would have planned this with our great producer, Pod Mamba, when we talked about it last season, about what we need to do to revamp it. And the NBA took my idea. They heard me. That's why we're the number one podcast in the universe, because we're making change, y'all. It matters. They heard us. They heard us say, hey, you should do what they did in the Rising Stars game. Make it like a pickup style, right? turn it into street ball where it's really competitive. Everybody has their own individual teams. Well, you guys, that's what the NBA is doing. They switched the format. And what I like is that they did consult Stephen Curry and NBA players about, hey, you guys are playing. What do you think should happen? Right. So I do appreciate them getting feedback from the players themselves. And they've switched to this new format. So what they're going to do now, they're going to have 3 teams of 8. And they're also going to bring in the winning team from the Rising Stars on Friday as well. And they're going to compete tournament style, right? First games to 40, last ones to 25. And I think, y'all, this might be it. But I'm also scared because I feel like these players are going to find a way to make me regret this. But it's looking like this may be a fix. What are you guys thinking? Am I tripping? Is this pickup style going to save my sacred all-star? Or am I going to be sitting down, crying in my Grand National or GNX, wishing it was like the old days? What do y'all think, man? Let me know.
Oh man, I'm gonna jump in real quick just because. Remember, last season we talked about this, and I was talking about, hey, you know what might be cool if the in-season tournament ended on All-Star. You know, meaning like the 2 best teams that ended up. But this is the next best thing for me. I think it actually has players. Nobody thinks it's a popularity contest. So is LeBron gonna pick me? Is Giannis gonna pick me? Is Steph gonna pick me? Nah, I'm also curious how they're really gonna set it up where how the teams are gonna be formulated other than the team from the previous night. But for me, I want it to be just like I'm seeing this new generation come. Let Ant get a team. Let Wemby get a team. Let these guys who really want to duke it out take their best guys and really show it out and leave it all on the court. I love my nostalgia of the East versus West. All that brought, whether it was the jerseys, the actual individual team jerseys, or the actual West versus East jerseys and so on. And have that pride of like, the Titans of one conference versus the Titans at another conference. But what are we about? Seeing some competition. Adam has been complaining year over year that, hey, viewership is down. Why do you think that NFL is taking over? It's because they're actually out there playing hard. It's a real competitive sport. So I'm hoping that this really gives that same type of incentive. Your guys versus my guys. Hey, if it's us youngins against y'all old heads, or you know what, I've been wanting to get at you for mad long. I'm gonna go do my thing. Let's see it. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be something dope. It's not gonna be a popularity contest, like I said before. It's really just gonna be about basketball.
So I say first that I'm hopeful. It all comes down to how it's set up and all those little nuances, right? How's the draft going to work? Who are they going to lean on? Because now that you have 3 teams, are we doing the 2 top vote getters, the 3 top vote getters, what's the parameters of who's picking the teams? Where are the other teams at when the 2 teams that are on the court are playing? If you caught our story last week, the basketball we played got juiced up last week because I was on the bench talking trash to Hans on the court. And so once we both got on the court, it was on like popcorn. So is the team that's not playing, are they back in the locker room? Or are they somewhere around the court gassing up the court, the game on the court? If we're gonna do pickup, you gotta do pickup all the way. You get what I'm saying? So the vibes gotta be right because they could go out there and just lollygag the same way they have been, or it could ratchet up some intensity with the proximity of players on the court, and it actually turned into something. Now, the other part is you got the rising star players coming in. On one hand, yeah, they may want to come in and make a name for themselves, right? yeah, we're going to come in and hustle because we got an opportunity to be on this court? Or are they going to adopt the let's be cool attitude of the older players and how they've been playing, but they're not good enough to be as cool while also being skillful as the older players? So I got to see it play out. I'm very hopeful.
Here's what I'm gonna push back at you about the rising stars, because even if we're looking at the rising stars currently, the freshman and sophomore, they got that fire in them, bro.
Yeah.
Got that fire in them, bro. They want it, and if they know it's a chance for them to end up on the big stage playing against the big dogs, the voted team, oh yeah, they're gonna be hungry for that, no doubt.
That's what gives me a little hope, is like the sophomores, they have that fire in them. The freshmen, I'm not too familiar, maybe a couple of them, but I see it as, to me, a little bit of an insurance policy to make sure that competition is there, just because it's a wild card, like Ev said, right? Because it could go either way, but nonetheless, it's a wild card. And I think it breaks the monotony of having, these teams be homogenous in a sense, as far as high level competition. So I think, like Ev said, I hope everybody stays on the court so they can see it, so they can witness it, so they can, point, talk, laugh, and do all of that too. But I also hope that they take pride in their team as well. So I'm interested to see how they formulate the teams and how they put them together, because I think that's going to make a difference as well too, as to how they get their sense of competition. So I'm interested to see how that happens. But yet and still, man, I'm actually hopeful. For the first time in a long time, I'm hopeful for this All-Star, and I'm excited to see what product the NBA is going to put out there, because you're so right, Lou. The NFL, man, they have a proven product. So much so that they're encroaching on the Christmas day.
Come on now. That used to be historically NBA. Now look.
Yeah. That used to be like, yo, you don't mess with NBA on Christmas Day.
Now look, man.
Come on, man. There's no rivalry games anymore, because that's what Christmas Day used to be. All the rivalry games, right? Where they at? So we definitely need that fire, man. So I'm excited, fellas. I'm excited. At the end of the day, the All-Star game needs improvement, and shout out to the NBA. Shout out to Adam Silver for doing something different, throwing it out there. I'm all for that. I'd rather you do something different than fail than to continue giving me the same product over and over again. And we're still in the same boat. So
step one, please get the jerseys right.
It's not gonna happen. Nike's doing it, so
we need fire jerseys.
They need to do what they're doing. They need to do the old school All-Star jerseys for each player. Like, you know how Toronto has the dinosaur, the old school. They need to do the old school for every team, every player that makes it. I think that'd be dope. Paying homage, man, to back when it was competitive. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you haven't heard that fire out there, man, that was just dropped upon us, man, go peep out that fire, man. Go get whacked out, man. Squabble up, baby. Yo, listen to it, man. And forget that Rico charge that boy is putting out there on there, man. That's crazy.
Hey.
But anyway, hey.
Mustard.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Happy holidays.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, give us a thumbs up. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you can keep up with us every week. Be sure to follow us on all our socials at the 3on3 Podcast. Hey, got a question, topic you want us to talk about? Hit us up on our email at 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate y'all. Tune in next week.